Welcome back to Breakfast from Bahrain. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by Babbittville Radio. Check us out on iTunes. Our next guest, Dylan McNeice, seriously one of the best swimmers in the sport. And you've had a nice season, Dylan. You've done a lot of challenge events. This one, though, probably has one of the better fields that I've ever seen at any race.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best fields, or if not the best field I've ever raced in, that's for sure. So it'll be cool to see how it pans out. You know, the 20-metre draft rule and the wind and stuff is going to, I think, play havoc to a lot of people's race plans. And, no one really knows what kind of shape they're in. So some people are ending their season, some people are starting. So it's going to be exciting.
Distance, middle distance, long distance. Yep. Yeah, so for someone like yourself, who's usually one of the first guys out of the water, and I'm sure a lot of times when you're riding, you're thinking those guys are all bunched up, which they usually are. Yep. So knowing that there's a 20-meter draft rule this time, and I've never seen that before, that's going to be pretty interesting.
It's going to be very interesting. I wish I could talk about how it's going to affect the race, but
we don't know.
We really don't have a clue. So.
I mean, it should be a positive for you.
It should be a positive.
It should keep people from being back.
You might just have one or two come past you at the time or whatever, rather than a group of 5 or 10. And you have to change your plan because I can't just, if there was a group of 5 or 10, I could just jump in kind of thing. But with the 20-metre draft zone, it's really going to be every man for himself. You're going to have to ride your own race, and it's going to be a lot more like an iron distance event, I think. So, it's going to be cool.
Talk a little bit about your season. Were you happy with how everything went?
Yeah, it's sort of started well. I won Challenge Wanaka and then Challenge Taiwan. I went to Challenge Atlantic City, and that was a great race. I really wanted to race it as it was the first challenge in North America, and I had an okay result, 4th there. Then I went to Ironman Lake Tahoe, and we kind of know what happened there.
The plug,
So flew to Ironman Malaysia, and it was a bit of a tight turnaround, quite a trip. So I ended up 4th there, and it's been I've improved on last season, but I still need to make a few more gains in the second half of the year. So
you went from basically racing Tahoe up at altitude and cold, which suits you, right? You like that, to one of the hotter races on the planet in Malaysia.
Yeah, it was. I had Chattanooga or Malaysia, and I thought,
both going to be hot.
Yeah, well, the bottom line was getting some points for Kona for next year. So I said, you know what, it's probably a safer bet to go to Malaysia, get to the finish line, and start the season again, rather than going to Chattanooga where there was 50 guys on the start list. It was a downriver swim, which didn't suit me, and probably a big bike group. So I just said, hey, Malaysia it is.
So and when was your last race? Was when?
Malaysia. So about
how long ago?
10 weeks.
So you've 10 weeks, and was this always in the plans?
This was always in the plan. So I had a couple of weeks off, and I've built back slowly with a couple of weddings and some stag do's or bucks nights, I think you call them.
Yeah.
It's been great having this race. It's kind of kicked me into gear a little bit earlier, and we'll see how it goes.
And what are the plans for next year?
I'll do Auckland 70.3 in January, Challenge Wanaka in February. And then I need to find an Ironman somewhere, and hopefully at some stage I qualify for Kona, and without busting my butt really. So
without doing too many of them, right?
Exactly.
That's the key.
So
you don't want to do too many of those races.
And then hopefully I can come back here in December next year. It'd be a great season.
What would you be happy with tomorrow?
Probably the same as everyone. I think top 10. Walk away with some money to end the season, and but to be honest, I've never really put a whole 100% focus into a half distance race. So, and not that I've really done that for this, but I put a lot more focus into speed work, and I just want to perform well. I just want to feel like I finished and performed well. So I guess I'll be the judge at the end of the race how that went. And
would you look at this as your best season so far?
Yeah, I think so. Just the most consistent. A couple of wins, a couple of fourths, which if I changed a few things, maybe they could have gone a little bit better. But my goal over the next couple of years is to start performing at the end of the season, which I've never really done. So, yeah.
Is it tough? I mean, being in New Zealand, anywhere you're going to race is a long haul. I mean, do you sort of need to base yourself in Asia or base yourself somewhere when you start your season? And I know that for years, the people from Australia or New Zealand were like, okay, they'd go to Europe or they go to the U.S. and base themselves there just because it's so hard. There weren't as many races.
Yep.
in Australia and New Zealand. As it seems that there's more now, though.
Yeah, I guess if I really wanted, I could stay home all year.
Yeah.
But it's much as I love being home, the winter is still quite hard on you. So this year I went to Boulder for about 5 weeks before Tahoe. Yeah. So I think I'll do the same next year. A lot of people go away for half the year, but I really do enjoy being home. I can have a good balance there. So for me, it'll always be, if I have a race in the US, I'll go 4 or 5 weeks beforehand, and never the big 3 or 4 or 5 month trips.
Who were your sporting heroes growing up, New Zealand athletes?
New Zealand athletes?
Yeah. Or were there was other athletes?
Like looking up to the triathletes, of course, like Bevan and Hamish. But my sporting heroes were Michael Jordan, Kelly Slater. Like those kind of mainstream guys. Yeah. I like basketball. I love surfing, so they were kind of my sporting heroes. Tom Dolan was a swimmer.
Yeah.
And in my swimming years, I used to admire him a lot. There was a lot of guys that I thought worked hard, and that's what got them there rather than the pure talent. I kind of admired them.
You sort of relate to that, a blue-collar guy.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. But, in the sport, it's hard work and talent now. There's so many good guys. It's so hard to make a living out of it if you've only got one. So, everyone here is so talented, but at the same time, they work so hard. So,
Dylan, thanks so much for taking time. Good luck tomorrow. Top 5 would be even better.
Top 5 would be amazing. Podium would be an absolute dream, but top 10, I'll be pretty happy with that.
All right, Dylan McNeice has been our guest. Again, this is Breakfast from Bahrain. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are brought to you by Babbitttville Radio. Check us out on iTunes. Hold on, everyone. We will be right back.